The CDC issuing a new warning now about monkeypox. All Americans, of course, can get the virus, but they're saying right now that the LGBTQ plus community should be especially cautious.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Khan. So, the monkeypox virus. Now, I'm actually done with viruses, but this is something that is coming up on the horizon. There could be cases where there could be some strange types of lockdowns. I hope very, very minimal. The problem is that it could be a little dangerous, and there are a few things we need to know about this virus. Now, just to have an idea about what we are dealing with here. Now, this is from the CDC's website, and you can see this is, of course, a rare disease, but it can appear like a smallpox type viral infection. And if you have a look over here, these are the stages that it goes through. There's a vesicle, pustule, umbilicated pustule, and you can see the ulceration in the middle over here, crusting, and finally a scab at the end. You can see a couple of these changes happening in this image, and this is from the UK Health Security Agency. Now, there are reports of monkeypox from Africa, from Europe and North America and Australia. Cases were reported in Boston. The virus is endemic in Africa, usually in small mammals and rodents. Issues are that it does affect kids a bit more also, as you saw in the image. It can affect pregnant females more than the general population. And the immunocompromised, possibly the metabolically non-healthy, can also be affected in a much severe fashion. So some things in line with COVID-19. I hope it does not spread as quickly as COVID-19's, but let's have a look at a couple of these reports. Now, this is from CNBC, and they're noting here that monkeypox outbreak is primarily spreading through sex per WHO officials. Now, if you go down here, so what they're noting is that European nations have confirmed dozens of cases in what's become the largest outbreak of monkeypox ever on the continent. And of course, US and Canada also have cases. Belgium actually has introduced a mandatory 21-day quarantine for monkeypox patients. Now, that is significant. 21 days quarantine. We thought we were done with quarantine, but now again we have something brewing that could cause problems. Hopefully not. Okay, so what they are suggesting here also is that the most recent surge in cases appears to have been spread among men who have sex with other men. And here I'm going to talk about the mode of transmission in detail with the monkeypox virus, so you will have an idea why this could be happening. So a little bit of the history with the monkeypox. So monkeypox was discovered. It was discovered in 1958, and this happened in colonies of monkeys kept for research. So they were research monkeys, but I don't think they were able to produce viruses of this nature back then. So I don't think this is a lab-created virus or any thoughts of it having any connection with a lab creation at that point and in that time of history. Now, so in humans, the first recorded case of monkeypox was in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And as you can see here, the picture again over here, it does not look pretty. Now, we're going to be talking about the signs and symptoms. Let's have a look at this. So the interesting fact that I mentioned earlier is that the incubation period, the time from infection to the time of symptoms, basically that is the time that you got exposed to the virus or pathogen, and when it actually starts to produce symptoms in you, that is called the incubation period. And as we are looking over here, it is usually 7 to 14 days, but could range from 5 to 21 days. That is pretty significant. If you are in contact with an individual, and we're going to be talking about how it actually spreads, then some people, some countries, to prevent its spread, because it is a bit more deadly than the COVID-19 virus, some countries may institute certain quarantine. Of course, no lockdowns. I don't want lockdowns. You don't want lockdowns. So let's try to prevent lockdowns. Let's do general precautionary measures. But first, let's have a look at the symptoms. So it begins, as all these viruses have problems of fever, headaches, muscle aches, backache. But the differentiating factor, and we will see a little bit later also, that monkeypox has something called swollen lymph nodes. Now, lymph nodes are swollen glands. They are part of your immune system, and they receive a lot of the pathogens that could spread to other parts of the body, and they have functions of being acting as a barrier as well as immune functions. Let's just put it that way. And in humans, you may notice these lymph nodes under your mandible, under your chin sometimes when you have respiratory or infections in the throat. Sometimes you can feel some glands under below your ears, or sometimes they're called supraclavicular lymph nodes that you can sometimes notice as well in certain situations. So this is a feature that is not present in smallpox, the disease that was eradicated by vaccines many years ago as a success story of good vaccines. Now, going back to the symptoms that we should know about, then we have the regular chills and exhaustion. COVID caused all of these, but it did not cause the swollen lymph nodes. So this is one way to differentiate between COVID-19 and monkeypox. Hopefully it does not spread as much, but people have noted that it has spread extensively and they're picking it up. Now, the next thing to note is these were the initial symptoms. All right. Within 1 to 3 days, and within 1 to 3 days after the appearance of fever, patients may develop rash. Now, this is, of course, the pictures that you saw, and the lesions have progressive stages: macules, papules, vesicles, pustules, and scabs. The image that we did see earlier. Let's have a look at this again. It's a vesicle, small pimple that you may notice. It could become a pustule. You can see there's pus right in the middle. This is something you may notice. This could be appearing like acne, but of course this is spreading all over the body, as you saw in the previous image. Then a pustule that gets bigger, umbilicated, and has sort of a stem, but not really a stem. Then it becomes ulcerated, as you can see over here, and then it sort of forms a crust over here. Finally, you have this scab-like appearance right over here.
It is not infectious and cannot spread when it is a scab.
So typically this illness lasts around 2 to 4 weeks. In Africa, monkeypox has shown to cause death in as many as 1 in 10 persons who contract the disease. Now this is significant. At least in Africa, it has been noted to be 1 in 10 persons who have suffered death at the hands of monkeypox, and we will see that this is not the same thing all over Africa, but just in certain parts of Africa. And hopefully this is not the case in other parts of the world where you may have better care. Although we don't have a cure for this currently, but certainly conservative management, watching and preventing any problems that could cause death is certainly possible if you have a relatively good healthcare system. Now let's look at prevention. So they talk about prevention. You avoid all types of unnecessary contacts with animals that could be infected. Avoid contact with any materials such as bedding. If there's an animal or a person who has the disease, of course, you don't want to share a bed with a person who is infected. Then you should isolate infected persons. And again, this quarantine situation comes into play over here. Of course, have good hand hygiene. That is important. Personal protective equipment. That is important as well. Now, an important aspect of prevention, always, if you have a good vaccine, if you have a good, reliable vaccine, then that is always good. And let's not politicize things. Smallpox has been eradicated through vaccines, and that has been a success story. Hopefully, polio comes down the line as well. But vaccines do work. If let's not politicize any of this. Vaccines, good vaccines, tested vaccines do a great job, and we seem to have a vaccine. The FDA has approved the Imvamune and Imvanex. So this is great. This can help out, and the Food and Drug Administration has approved this for the prevention of monkeypox. Of course, people who are at a high risk, people who may be exposed, such as sexual healthcare workers, because they may be in contact with these individuals, or people who treat these individuals, they may need these vaccines. Now let's talk about the treatment. So as I mentioned earlier, treatment is not that easy for viral infections. Currently, there is no proven treatment, and of course, supportive measures and conservative measures may help prevent issues such as respiratory compromise. And in a modern healthcare setup, you should be in a relatively good condition compared to, let's say, places that do not have adequate healthcare services. Now, this is from the WHO website, and as you can see here, that human infections in West African areas, they were less severe than the Congo Basin. And in Western Africa, the fatality rate was 3.6% compared to 10.6% for the Congo Basin area. So this is basically suggesting that it is not that it could be deadly at the same stretch all over the place. There could be other factors. Of course, scientists, doctors will be looking at details about what are the differences and what we can do to prevent this or mitigate as much as possible. Now let's have a look at this on the same WHO website, and they are suggesting here that the monkeypox virus is transmitted from person to person by close contact with the lesions. So that is important. If somebody has something strange on them, don't touch it. Don't have them touch it to you. So, I mean, that's pretty much common sense. Next, moving forward, bodily fluids. So, of course, bodily fluids could mean saliva, could mean genital secretions. So that's why they have noticed this, that people who are in really close contact and people such as males who are having sex with males, of course, bodily fluids are getting in contact, and that could be a problem. Next, they're talking about respiratory droplets. So respiratory droplets can also be a means of transmission. Of course, if you have in your bodily fluids, such as in your saliva, then respiratory droplets can transmit because your saliva, you can cough it out. Of course, in this disease, you're not really coughing much. That is good. But if you're kissing in close contact, then respiratory droplets or kissing or bodily fluids can lead to transmission. And of course, you want to avoid contaminated materials such as bedding. And as we talked about, the incubation period is usually 6 to 30 days, but can range from 5 to 21 days. Hence, the possible quarantine that they have talked about in Belgium. Anyways, I surely hope this is contained, we figure out, and this occurrence, since this virus has been there for a very long time, fairly long time, but it has not spread as much. But this time around, because there's a lot of travel and people do like to be intimate sometimes, of course, a lot of times this could spread, but it seems like it is not going to spread as much as the COVID-19 virus because, hey, you sneeze, you cough, feet away, people could catch it from you. But in this situation, you relatively have to be much closer, it seems like. Now, of course, we are all sensitized. If you see somebody coughing, somebody has a fever, please don't go hug and kiss them. We all know nothing good could come out of it. If it's not monkeypox, if it's not COVID-19, it could be some other virus. Why do you want to catch anything? Why do you want to act silly? Just wear a mask if somebody is sick, or have the person wear a mask who is sick. Anyways, this is hopefully not a big problem. Hopefully, governments and WHO can get a handle of this. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about this. I want the economy to stay open, and hopefully, we are seeing signs that this is not such a big concern that we will have to have any lockdowns. No more lockdowns, please. No more lockdowns. Wash your hands, cover your mouth. Don't have sex with people that you have no idea who they are. Okay, that is, of course, fairly important. Thank you so much. Let me know what you guys think, and I will have more videos on this. Hopefully, we're talking about that this is going down, not going up or expanding unnecessarily. Thank you so much.